Well, it's just gone 11:30, and I guess we need to get underway. I've got quite a tight schedule today, so I'd just like to welcome everyone and welcome to our 10th Sheffield IoT Meetup and our first event of 2021. My name's Mark Davies. I'm the CEO of Ioetec and the host for today's event for about the next 90 minutes. As I say, we've got quite a packed program, and so I'm going to try and keep my introduction to a brief to allow for enough time to make sure we finish at the right time at 1:15. We set up, just a bit of an introduction to our meetup, we set up Sheffield IoT Meetup to build an IoT ecosystem that enables individuals, organizations, interested parties to share their capabilities and hopefully stimulate conversation and collaboration. And we hope to bring together parties to enable real-world IoT applications to happen through facilitating the technology, R&D, and commercial partnerships. And finally, to promote Sheffield as a leading IoT centre that will lay the groundwork for larger events, hopefully more face-to-face ones, as we were used to going back now over a year, and network of activities that reinforce this reputation. First of all, I have to start off with some thanks to our sponsors, Pitch-In of the University of Sheffield. And as always, I'd like to thank Bryony, Fern, Elizabeth and Ceri, the heroes who actually make this event happen with all the back office and promotion. They've been in the background as moderators today, ensuring everything runs as smoothly as possible. And it's also great to see so many of you returning back from our previous events. As I say, this is our 10th one. And to welcome a lot of new online viewers. And the benefit of the online system is that we can today say that we've got people from the US, from Spain, India, Germany, Colombia, Ireland, Egypt, Finland. So it's quite a global event today. I'm sure you will have found Sheffield on the map, hopefully, of where we are in the UK. So today's event or theme is about scaling up in IoT, not only from a project base, trying to go from a proof of concepts and trials up to full-blown IoT projects, but also the journeys of several businesses that are operating within this field. So the IoT world is growing at a massive pace. Adoption of new technologies of 5G and artificial intelligence are expecting to drive the market growth in the coming years. And today, as I say, we've got a number of speakers chatting about scaling in IoT. And our first speaker today, our keynote speaker, is Dimitrios Spiliopoulos. He's the Senior IoT Go-To-Market Manager for the EMEA for Amazon Web Services, and he'll be talking about how AWS supports IoT in the field. Then after Dimitrios's presentation, where there'll be 4 scale-up stories. Ourselves, I'll be chatting to you about Ioetec and our journey. Then we have Alex Sekowska, who's the CEO of Proxigroup, Mauro Arruda, who's the CEO of Smartia, and Furqan Alamgir, who's CEO of Connexin. They'll be talking about their journeys to the scale-up. And then following that, we'll have some updates of what's going on in the region from Steve Jubb in the antennas project, enabling the regional IoT capability in Sheffield and the surrounding area. Andy Saunders, who's the head of partnerships at IoT Tribes. Ceri Batchelder, who's here to talk about the Team SY project. And then Capital Enterprise talking about the acceleration and market making in South Yorkshire. And then towards the end of that, as always, we'll have an opportunity for a shout out session for anybody who wishes to talk about any relevant IoT activity and what's going on, any events, job opportunities, etc. and interests. If there are any questions throughout this webcast you'd like to pose to any of the speakers, please use the chat facility and I'll pose them at the end of each section. And as I say, at the end, we'll open for 5 minutes towards anyone who wants you to shout out about their relevant IoT activity. Finally, I'm sure after a year, you've all become accustomed to any technical glitches that occur on these live webcasts. I hope I don't turn into a rabbit or have any children. I haven't got any children planned to walk through the office today, so please bear with us should they be encountered. And so now, without any further ado, I'll be handing you over to our first speaker, Dimitrios from Amazon Web Services. Thank you, Dimitrios.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Mark, for the introduction, and I'm very pleased to be here. Thanks for having me. I have been as a guest at the meetup, and I'm aware of the great work that the Sheffield IoT Meetup is doing to build a very active IoT community around Sheffield. So thanks for having me, and congratulations for all the work. Yeah, my name is Dimitrios Spiliopoulos. I'm based in London. I started with AWS 5 months ago, and I'm responsible for the IoT business in UK, Ireland. And I thought today to speak to you about how AWS supports the IoT companies and the IoT ecosystem in general, because there are many dedicated services, dedicated resources that are focusing on IoT, and maybe you are not aware, so I thought to focus on this. Sorry. Just to give you an idea about for whom are the AWS IoT services that I will show you later. They are agnostic of sectors. We're covering all the sectors from manufacturing and industrial to healthcare and consumer products. And the customers are from very early stage startups to big multinationals that they have, let's say, hundreds of factories, or also, but they could have one factory. So it's across sectors and customer segments. And because the theme for today is from IoT startups to scale-ups, I thought to share with you how AWS supports IoT startups to scale. So first of all, all the services for IoT are managed services, and all of them, they have a free tier credit. And we have noticed that, especially for startups, they can even run for 1 year without any charge, just being at the free tier. So it's quite a lot of credits for a startup to launch their product and experiment without the big costs or costs sometimes. And the idea is that you can pay only for what you use, no license fee or no monthly cost. So this is quite easy to start. The secondly is about scaling fast, but also in many countries or globally, with just few clicks, you can do this easily. The other way that AWS supports is through dedicated technical resources, but also business support to startups, scale-ups, but also there are services for bigger companies. I will show you in the next slides about these resources. And something very interesting, I think, is that all the services for IoT are serverless, so no need to manage any server or infrastructure or forecast what you will need to use. So you can scale immediately. If the next day, let's say it's Christmas Day and you're selling a lot, you can have 1,000 of extra devices on the field without issue of scalability. And about the resources, like for technical resources, we are supporting the ecosystem by giving access to subject matter experts like my team with the IoT specialists. Also, there is a team for machine learning that they are integrated with IoT, blockchain, or other technologies that are relevant to the IoT solutions. Also, there is lots of material for someone who wants to learn about IoT in general, but also for someone who wants to start learning how to use AWS IoT services. I definitely recommend you to look at the IoT course at the edX online, which is free of charge and can introduce you to IoT, but also AWS IoT. There are also many, you can also do the foundation training for IoT if you want to start using the AWS IoT services. And of course, there are many webinars or seminars that we are running online, and sometimes I post, so feel free to connect on LinkedIn to see what is coming. Now, there are some dedicated programs for startups. It's not only for IoT startups, but IoT is in the umbrella. So you have a look at the AWS Activate program, which is about giving you some thousand of value for free credits to use the console of AWS. Depends on the stage of its startup. There are some specific criteria. Or there is another program for startups to migrate either from another cloud provider or from on-premise to AWS cloud and IoT. And many other, like how you can sell maybe your devices to Amazon.com. There is a specific program for this. So it's lots of programs to explore if you are a startup. So these slides will be also shared with you later, so you can have a closer look. In general, how AWS supports the IoT ecosystem, there are many ways, but I have structured them with the 3 pillars because we see also 3 types of customers. First of all are the builders. So we are offering the right tools for IoT to build the IoT products, solutions, or platforms with the IoT services that I will show you briefly later. Then is for the customers that they know how to do it, but they need some support from partners. We give them access to the broad AWS ecosystem, and we have dedicated IoT partners, either system integrators, some local ones for UK or for other countries, or globals, or access to hardware partners that they have already integrated their hardware to the IoT services. So we can facilitate this. And also there are ready-made solutions that AWS offers through our partners, that our partners have built solutions using our tools in order to offer plug-and-play solutions or ready-made offerings. And for example, for manufacturing. I would like to show you now some services that I think are relevant to many startups, scale-ups, but in general companies that are in IoT. I will start from the bottom. You will see that there is a device software, which is all about the edge services that you may need for your devices and your applications. Then we have the services that allow companies to connect the devices to the cloud, manage them in scale, but also secure the devices. And of course, the analytic services, including machine learning. Briefly about the edge services that you should be aware. FreeRTOS, I'm sure you may have heard of this if you are in a microcontroller industry. This is the operating system for microcontrollers. It's open source and free of charge that it can allow you to connect almost any small device to the internet and do some edge processing. And this is the leading OS for IoT. The other service that you may have heard for Edge is Greengrass, and very recently in December we announced the Greengrass version 2. The good news is that also since December this is open source, so please use it to build on the top of this. And something new is that it's also completely modular, which means that you can select which modules and features you want to use. And if your device is very constrained in terms of computing power, for example, then you can use only one module in order to be able to run it smoothly. Also, you can do machine learning at the edge, filter the data you want to send in the cloud, so you can reduce your bills, the costs, but also to operate even if there's not a good connectivity all the time. Oops, sorry, something came on my screen. Okay. And something interesting is that there is a promotional offer for Greengrass. So there is no charge for the first 1,000 devices that you connect to Greengrass, and this is until the end of the year. You can just go to the console and start using it. There is no need for a registration for this. Now a quick look about how you can send the data from the devices to the cloud. There is a other managed service, which is a IoT Core. This is a service that every customer of AWS in IoT is using it. This is like it can help you with the message broker, manage the device IDs, to register your devices, manage the security. Every message is also encrypted, and there are many more features that you can take advantage. I'm sure you have seen this news about the AWS IoT Core for LoRaWAN. This is a big announcement from December that we noticed the big traction that there is for LoRa, and the customers with LoRa devices, they were asking how they can bring their devices to AWS Cloud much faster and easier without managing the LoRa servers. So now we're offering a fully managed network servers for LoRa. So you can bring your LoRa devices and gateways to AWS IoT Core. And we have already the gateway ecosystem in order to help you do this integration. Have a look on the website for more details, but I'm sure that if you're working with LoRa, this would be very distinct for you. Same integration there is also for Alexa. So with this integration of IoT Core with Alexa voice services, the idea is almost any device, even small device like a thermostat or light switches, to be able to have voice capabilities. Even without Amazon Echo or a big computing power. So if you have consumer products, this could be also interesting for you. There is also a service that we help companies to scale from few hundreds to thousands of devices or millions of devices, the IoT device management. And there's also a new simple interface that you can monitor your fleet, take actions, send updates to the devices, and manage the security. And something very important that I noticed that there is quite a lot of traction in the last months. For years, I know Mark and everyone else is pitching this about security of the devices. So we launched, this is an old service, but we added machine learning. So you can use machine learning to identify anomalies in the behavior of the devices in order to understand that there is an attack or an issue, then generate alerts and take mitigation actions. So this service, we call it ML Detect, and it's a managed service, so it can allow to startups or anyone to have extra security without need to have many cybersecurity experts. Hive is one of the customers, Hive from Centrica, that using all the services that I show you, and they migrated from their, they had built everything on their own using AWS cloud services. And now not now, but a few years ago, they migrated to AWS IoT managed services, and they managed to reduce their costs and without also their customers to understand this transition, which is a very great example of scalability. Lastly, I would like to show you a quite new service from last year, which is focusing on manufacturing and industrial space, which is a Sidewise. And Sidewise allows the old legacy machines that exist in factories or in energy sector, oil and gas, to bring the data from their devices to the cloud in real time. And there you can do analytics, machine learning, or use any other cloud service that you find relevant. And this is also available for the edge. So if you are in industrial space, definitely look at this because it can also connect the most popular industrial protocols. Of course, there are services for analytics, for the data from the sensors. I don't have time for this example from UK that they used it for improving the painting of these cars. And yeah, the other way that I spoke before about the partner ecosystem. So we can give access to um, to hardware partners like gateways, but also to connectivity partners. For example, in UK and globally, we work with SI, which is the UK company with global connectivity, plus with the local system integrators or with the global ones. This is just example, this slide of partners. There is also the partner device catalog. You can check it online, and the idea is how we can bring also our customers to this device catalog so they can become partners and solve problems for the customers. Also, IoT solution catalog that you can use if you want to buy ready solutions. But also the idea is to bring our customers who build solutions to onboard them at this IoT solution. And last, for call to action, feel free to visit the Amazon.com IoT to see what are the services, some customer references, and start experimenting. If you need, if you have specific IoT questions or you have a project you want us, feel free to reach out to me. But also I have here the email of the territory manager for AWS for Northeast, Oliver Jeffries, who is more than happy to help you navigate with all of these resources. Here are also the contact details. Feel free to connect with us. And yeah, thank you very much for your time. I hope it was useful. And I saw there are many questions. I will respond by answering on the chat because I don't think we'll have much time.
Yeah,
Mark?
thank you so much, Dimitrios. That's fantastic. Gosh, there's quite a lot to absorb there. And yeah, if you wouldn't mind, there's a couple of questions in the chat facility. If you wouldn't mind responding to that, that would be great. And anybody, I totally encourage us to contact Dimitrios with any of your IoT needs because he has a wealth of experience. And maybe we get a few minutes at the end if you're still around, Dimitrios. I'll also highlight your activities with IE as the in your MBA course that you do. But thank you so much for that. As I say, a wealth of information, a lot of activity and support that AWS are given to IoT product, the IoT ecosystem. Thank you so much.
And just to say that before joining AWS, I knew AWS has some services, but I knew, I think, the 5%, and I was very active in IoT, so that's why I thought it was good to share what I found. That
yeah, there's an awful lot there. Awful lot there. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'll have a conversation with you shortly as well.
Perfect.
Great. Thanks ever so much, Dimitrios. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks a lot. Okay, we're now going on to the 4 startup companies that are at the point of scale up or already scaling up. I'm going to take the next section, so you'll get bored of me very quickly. I'll spend the next 10 minutes just really letting you know about our journey as Ioetec in the IoT ecosystem. If I just share my screen, I'm hoping that you can see that. If somebody can just ping me and say that that's okay. But yeah, just as an introduction, then I thought I'd tackle the challenges of scale up from 2 aspects, both from a company perspective, but also from a user's perspective, considering the considerations of scale when adopting IoT. Ioetec was born from one of those penny dropping moments Mike Fawkes, my co-founder, and I had when investigating the centralized control of multiple home automated devices several years ago. We discovered that whilst the intended data sets were being generated as expected, it also revealed unintended patterns from that data. It was from this unintended consequence of data representation that shone a light on the importance of securing unencrypted data. And what then followed was a couple of years of ground-up research and development to produce Ioetec's technology. And the problem continues to grow. In a recent Palo Alto report, 98% of all IoT data traffic remains unencrypted, a staggering figure. Now, a fifth of those suffered an IoT-based attack in the past 3 years, and a quarter of those suffered a financial loss of at least $34 million. So huge numbers. For the benefit of those who have not come across Ioetec before, we're specialists in IoT data cybersecurity. We've developed a true end-to-end data security communication solution for IoT. Our tech has been specifically designed for those resource-constrained devices, those small devices where security is hard to implement properly, and to ensure that when the data migrates from the point of generation and subsequently consumed by the end data user, it is trusted, is integral and authentic. Now, we were fortunate early on in our journey to acquire a supportive angel investor, and also to join the second cohort of the GCHQ Cyber Accelerator program. And this shows a graph of the ecosystem of the cybersecurity programs that are running in the UK, not all of them, but the majority of them. As I say, on that second cohort of the GCHQ program, it gave us unprecedented technical access to some of the best minds in UK cybersecurity. The program did what it said on the tin. It accelerated our development both technically and as a business significantly. We graduated onto the DCMS newly formed Lorca program, which furthered our ambitions. And we've also experienced the Digital Catapult Cyber 101 IoT Tribe at the DMC in Barnsley, and we're currently attending the attending alumni of the NCSC's 7th cohort specializing in smart city. So I guess our position on the typical roadmap for a cyber business in our journey puts us round about here. That positions us now on the cusp of scale up, and like all similar ventures at this point, are actively building their customer use cases, improving their reoccurring revenue, and as always, seeking finance to extend their runway. Like us all, COVID has had an impact on the way we conduct our business. This has certainly affected the investment community who have doubled down to protecting their existing portfolios. Yes, the investments in cyber startups has remained high, but that is due to 3 very high value investments, which accounts for 2/3 of that, which skews the picture somewhat. And just under 12 million was invested in first raises, and that's down 96% in the past year. Now, as a result of that, Ioetec are very much focused on revenue generation, organic growth, which increase our leverage later on when it comes to institutional investment at a later stage. COVID equally has acted as a tailwind as it's accelerated digital transformation, increased the demand for remote services, and reinforcing the relevance of security as a crucial business enabler. But what has struck me, particularly in the past couple of years, is the amount of support that exists for SMEs being driven by central government and filtering down to regional and local initiatives. As I said, we benefit from the GCHQ and Lorca programs who connect us with the likes of O2, AWS, Deloitte, and Department of International Trade. The UK R&I councils provide a rich spectrum of funding opportunities to apply for real challenges for innovative SMEs to address. With the support of organisations like KTN and Digital Catapult, who connect ideas, people, businesses, funders, research, to enable and facilitate the advancement of UK technology and greater prosperity. Here in Sheffield, as in all regions, the network extends locally with initiatives from local councils, universities, industry, and passionate individuals who drive projects they truly enjoy being part of in supporting the SME's success. Now, this montage demonstrates the wealth of free and funded support, and they're not all shown, that Ioetec has benefited from our journey. In the aspiration that we'll be successful and be able to return the goodwill shown to us by contributing to UK PLC in the future. And that has begun. Our turnover is increasing year on year. We're employing several full-time staff who work on several projects surrounding the security of national infrastructure, including a secure platform for smart city. Looking to the future, our development will continue to defend IoT against the threat of quantum to critical national infrastructure. Our ability to scale is not bound by systems, vertical market sectors, or geographical boundaries, and so our vision is a global reach and one we intend to fulfill. So how will we achieve that? Well, that brings me on to the second section, which deals with really scaling IoT. So as an adopter of IoT, you've put a project in place, pilot project in place, and it's proved its worth. You can see the operational efficiencies, the cost reductions, the improvement to customer experience, but what now? Scaling from the confines of a trial site to a full rollout demands further considerations, and with it brings its challenges. What will deployment look like? Will it be across multiple sites or within a controlled environment? Will data be accessed locally or globally? What networking technology be used? The advent of 5G is hailed as the next best thing, but how much will it cost? No one seems to be able to give me that answer yet. And as you've heard from Dimitrios' earlier presentation, the cloud service providers are creating superb services, applications and development kits to encourage greater and easier adoption of IoT. And this accommodates a lot of the conventional developments for IoT systems with the many benefits the cloud infrastructure offers of cost effectiveness, scale, automation, interoperability, and central functionality. To complement cloud computing, as you've also heard from Dimitrios, he touched on it, edge computing is providing an accelerated pace for data analytics to enable better decisions faster. At its basic level, edge computing brings computation and data storage closer to devices where it's being gathered, rather than relying on a central location that can be thousands of miles away. This is done so that data, especially real-time data, does not suffer latency issues that can affect performance, particularly in mission-critical applications. According to one estimate, as much as 55% of IoT data could be processed near the source, either on the device itself or through edge computing. Indeed, scale plays a big role in this likely shift. Growing demands will likely put the focus on latency, and decreased latency could dramatically improve the response time, therefore saving both time and money. Shifting large volumes of data across networks, in some instances, worthless expired data costs. However, as is the case with many new technologies, solving one problem can create others. Putting IoT sensors in the field, whether it's a valve in a pipeline or a sensor in street location, extends the threat surface, giving higher exposure for cyber attack. Devices might not be as secure or protected that controlled physical environments or cloud-based systems provide. Terms like air-gapped or islanded, describing a secure, isolated operation, just no longer applies with the level of interconnectedness, interdependence, ravenous data hunger, and the speed at which data is moved. Furthermore, differing device requirements for processing power, electricity, and network connectivity can have an impact on the reliability of an edge device. This makes redundancy and failover management crucial for devices that process data at the edge to ensure that the data is delivered and processed correctly when a single node goes down. As the number of IoT devices grow, it's imperative that a customer understands the potential security issues around these devices and to make sure that those systems are secured as they are a vulnerability to gain network access. This includes making sure that data is encrypted and that authenticated access controls utilized. Now, as an example, a month ago, a hacker gained access into the water treatment system of Oldsmore, Florida, and tried to increase the level of sodium hydroxide in the city's water. That's caustic soda to you and I, and that's used to control water acidity and to help remove heavy metals. They managed to connect to remote access software that was installed on the workstation used to control the water treatment process. An employment of the water treatment plant saw the mouse cursor moving on the monitor, performing unauthorized tasks. The hacker adjusted the level of sodium hydroxide to more than 100 times its normal levels. Fortunately, the operator immediately reduced the level back. Unfortunately, this type of situation is not uncommon, and the FBI continued to search for the culprit and the mechanism by which they access the system. So we need to make cybersecurity at the top of our minds, and really that's what Ioetec does and what we take care of. Going back to this edge computing diagram, we take care of the security that protects data at the edge. It's about building strong security protocols into IoT projects from day one. It's also about gaining factual information on the organization's security posture so that IT and OT teams can start working together, securing large-scale networks. The leadership, company culture, and human factor is a whole other topic, one that is influential in the success of any large-scale IoT infrastructure. Ioetec are engaged in providing solutions to such challenges, working alongside companies such as Smartia, who you'll hear from shortly, on our smart project Synergia, and working on Innovate project involving ARM's Morello program, which will radically update the security foundations for the next generation of the UK's digital computing infrastructure. For businesses to adopt IoT technology and services, providers need to take away complexity and make services simple to deploy, simple to manage, and simple to see a return on investment, and most importantly, be secure. And that's a philosophy Ioetec follows and will continue to do so as we scale. Thank you. Okay, just bear with me a second while I get back to not sharing my screen. Ah, fantastic. So
Mark,
I'll pass you on.
Mark,
Yep.
Mark, it's Ceri here. You just lost slides, a few slides at the end, but we're all listening to you, so it was totally fine. Elizabeth has brought them back, so okay. I think we just can move on to Smartia now.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could do that, that'd be great.
Thank you.
So I'll introduce you now to a good friend of ours.
Proxigroup, Mark.
Yeah, who were on the IoT Tribe. I introduce you to Sekowska, who's the COO of Proxigroup. Over to you, Alex.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alex, and I am the co-founder of Proxigroup. And I will be talking today about our story from a startup to scale up, and also what we do, how we do it, and what problems we are really solving for our clients. So Proxigroup, at the beginning of 2018, joined the IoT Tribe, and we also moved our company to Barnsley. At the time, the only thing we had was the vision to provide for our clients the best solution that will track, locate, monitor, and solve the problem of lack of visibility and transparency in asset management. We knew that digital transformation is the key to generate competitive advantages in the production and logistics sector. And that's how we started. So we started working together to find the problems in the industry of logistics and warehousing was facing, and really find our product market fit. Lack of visibility in the supply chain, lack of synchronized communication between the products, management systems, individual locations, as well as providing the information quickly and efficiently to our end users. Errors in operational system resulting from manual scanning of the products. Lack of information about the actual stock levels, lack of access to rapidly changing data. What we found out and how it really should be on the market, and what our clients' problems were facing, and also how to solve them. The expectations and requirements of customers are very high. Our customers wanted availability, transparency, information on demand, or process automation. Our customers wanted complete synchronized data transfer so that they can eliminate mistakes and make operational decisions based on real-time data. So we need to minimize downtime resulting from the lack of inventory, localization of the assets, failure of completion, and deliveries in finished products. During the time, we started building our platform, which is ProxiTrack. The platform that we have provide for our customers is based on efficiency by tracking asset flow using sensor data in virtual reality, providing real-time asset movement information, 3D mapping of actual building infrastructure to monitor the product flow, remote infrastructure management, reducing the need for the site visits, which we actually found out a year ago how important was that in the COVID time. Mobile applications, possibility to merging our system with the existing RFID installations and possibility of expanding with additional functionalities. This is deployments. At the beginning of 2018, we only had a proof of concept. You can see here on this slide how our deployments look like today. So we're creating a digital twin of the building for our customers that we're becoming a powerful mastermind to enhance performance. Quickly, our customers were able to quickly notice significant cost reduction and revenue increases, and how the ability to flexibility to react on the new conditions and able to manage their assets in the crisis time. The gain of new level of communication, increase market competitiveness, and better respond to customer requirements. So our clients really started seeing the benefits from the first time when they started any deployment. Lower implementation costs, savings in inventory and location cost, plug-and-play solution. That's what we actually, and how we really start scaling up from the beginning of 2018. We started with the manufacturing market, moved to logistics and warehousing really quickly, and then over the last 2 years, we touched the public sector, healthcare sector, the retail sector, and also fast-moving customer goods. All those sectors need capability of tracking assets and make fast decision on real-time data. So we recently signed a contract with NHS. So we are working along with NHS to attract the healthcare market and public entities to deploy and get benefits from digitalization of their assets. As we know all, that next step to solve many operational problems for them, and RFID and IoT systems are helping healthcare industry to track suppliers in the COVID era for PPE equipment, and also manage their deliveries and stock takes remotely. And at the beginning, we only had a proof of concept, and literally into 2018, no clients. Right now, we are tracking chemicals for the industry biggest chemical manufacturers. We track jewelry shops, home appliances, national postal services, healthcare assets, and also fast-moving customer goods. And I will be happy to answer any questions you might have after my presentation, and listen to what Smartia have to tell us about this scale-up story. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thanks ever so much, Alex, for that. Really insightful into what Proxigroup are doing. And yeah, if there are any questions for Alex, please post them on the chat, and I'm sure she'll get to answering them. And as you can see, her contact details are on the screen right now, so feel free to contact her on those details. Okay, so we'll be handing over to Mauro, again, an old pal from our alumni from us from the IoT Tribe. He's the Chief Executive Officer at Smartia, and yep, your screen is up on the sorry, your slides are up on the screen there, Mauro. So I hand over to you.
Thanks a lot, Mark. I'm trying to share my video stream. Can you see me? I guess you can. Thanks a lot, Mark, for the introduction. Excellent couple of three presentations so far. I think mine is going to be a bit lighter, so I'll take you through a brief introduction to Smartia and what we're doing. I'll then show you a quick video that we've prepared for our product. Just it gives you a good introduction of the product we're building. Then I'll go a bit to the backstages of that product, to tell you a bit more of the different components, and tell you about our journey in terms of a startup and where we're going, trying to scale up the business. So hope you enjoy it. Should be less than 10 minutes. So Smartia. We say that we're providing scalable AI solutions to connect and transform industrial data into actionable insights. So there's a few things, there's loads of words here, but I think the key words are really we're connecting and transforming industrial data. So hence our link to IoT, but industrial Internet of Things. And the way we transform that data is through analytics and machine learning and AI that we deploy at the edge or in the cloud. So we've been going for just short of 3 years. We set up in mid-2018. We're currently 16 in the team, 12 tech, 3 salespeople, and 1 operations. So very technically driven. We're building software. It's called Mauro. I'll show you a few slides about it, and we call it an industrial intelligence platform. In essence, what it does, it connects and translates data from PLCs, robots, automation lines, and pushes that data into a software layer where analytics and machine learning can process that data, and I'll tell you more about it. So the things that we say we think we're good at is data science, software development, and automation. Those are really the things and the skills that we've got in-house that allows us to do this. We've had the privilege to work with a number of companies in aerospace and defense, traditional manufacturing, electronics, manufacturers of several industrial components, and all these companies come to us because they are now kind of embarking on this Industry 4 kind of journey. They want to collect data from their industrial assets through different protocols, MQTT, OPC UA, Modbus, all sorts of these fantastic industrial protocols. But then they want to make sense of that data and generate high-level insight from that they can set as recommendations for their engineers, but also can set as instructions back to the machine. And that's how we're working with these companies. So the product, though, as I said, the product we're building is called Mauro. It's helping these organizations across a number of use cases, whether it's to monitor processes remotely, whether they're using it for quality control, whether it's from sensor data or image data, for predictive maintenance, and even for supply chain and inventory optimization. So the common kind of components across all these case studies is the data that is generated by industrial assets, is how you transform that data into high-level insights that ultimately is saving them money or time or both, and that's what we're doing. So just on the next slide, I'll jump onto this video presentation that I've got about the product. It should be about a minute and a half. Let's see if it plays. It doesn't play there. Ceri, how am I going to play this video now?
I think you'll need to share your screen, Mauro.
Okay, so sharing video, sharing. I don't know how to share my.
So if you go Elizabeth or Fern, you might be best placed to recommend what you do. If I think what you do, Mauro, is there's a tab at the bottom. You see
yes.
what little tabs are. There's one that looks like an exit sign, and it's actually share. I think that's how you share your screen.
And then if you go in there and click on share application /screen.
Yes, share application screen. Thanks a lot. There you go. And hopefully I'll be able to get out of it. Okay, so yeah, so you can see my screen. What I'll do.
Yeah.
There you go. So here we go with the video. Hope you enjoy it.
Thank you. Great.
there's a nice soundtrack to this video. I don't think you can hear it, but
Can't you sing along, Mauro?
you completely lose focus. It's yeah, I just noticed, but okay. So I just stop sharing, hopefully. And now we back onto, are we back onto the presentation now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're back onto it there for you, Mauro.
Okay, thanks a lot. So we just wanted to give you a quick kind of a flavor of what the platform does. So it's got a very intuitive front end, and it's got a number of applications that run different things for different potential personas within an organization, whether they're the automation engineer that is connecting the devices, or at the other end of the spectrum, a manager who's looking at KPIs driven by machine learning algorithms that process the raw data. So just what's behind the solution? So I'll just very quickly take you around that carousel of applications. So it starts at number one. So we connect it to industrial assets. Typically, we will connect to a controller or a SCADA system or a database, and we transform that data, standardize in terms of the format that is at, and then we ingest it into the platform. So that moves around to the right and is now being contextualized with that information. So raw data might be contextualized with information from an ERP system or process data. It's stored and made available to all the users. You've got a number of visualization tools, and ultimately all that data is then made available to a an orchestration layer where we can deploy machine learning, and actually we're just basically containerizing machine learning and using a standardized way of packaging up machine learning models so that you can just deploy it on a platform and make use of those models. That's just in a nutshell. But as you can see, there's a huge, and invariably, when you're looking at industrial IoT and AI projects, there's a huge tech stack. So everything from automation protocols and translation to IoT, data streaming, queuing, data security. It's a huge tech stack. And how do we manage that? It's difficult, and we can't do it on our own. So I'll just take you through quickly a couple of slides now on where we are in this journey. So as I said, we've been going for nearly 3 years. We are at a very early stage in terms of our product. So if I can just hijack the innovation adoption curve in terms of to explain how our product is developing and how we are in the market, the product is pretty much been adopted by what I would say innovators, very early adopters, and who picked up our MVP products and accepted all the bugs, accepted all the imperfections of that product, and they added massive value by allowing us to plug on their industrial assets, but also understand their real requirements. And obviously we want to go through this curve, and the people who talk about innovation adoption, there's a very interesting kind of a stage of the growth or adoption of the product, which is the chasm, and it's really it's quite tough to go from early adopters to kind of the majority of the market and keep scaling up our product or your products. At this stage, we're pretty much at that early phase, and based on experience and based on wisdom, online wisdom, we're focusing at this stage. We're not really focusing all our commercial efforts on this majority side of the market. We're really focusing on innovators and early adopters. These might sound counterintuitive because the market is quite small, but we believe at this stage it would be very difficult to go and sell to the majority part of the market or the adopters. Will be too early for them. So there's these line of thought that as a startup, you should really focus on innovators and early adopters, and everything. If you do that, your job well, you understand your product, understand your customers, the rest of the market will follow suit in due course. So everything we're doing is really focusing on these early adopters and innovators at the moment. So what went through our heads in the first 2 years, and just to give you an insight of how we think and how we think thinking about moving forward. Of course, we're a tech company. All we've been thinking for the first 2 years is product. What we're building, the technologies that we're building, what cloud services we're using. By the way, we're using AWS, even though we are completely agnostic in terms of cloud providers and infrastructure, but we benefiting from AWS infrastructure at the moment. Is a lot of thinking about product and how we can get it better, how it can be the best product in the market and have all the super features that is going to be a killer product in this industrial AI market. The other thing that kept us busy a lot in the first 2 years is really understanding market fit. So is what we're building the right thing for the market? Are our customers asking for this, or the customers that we think we're targeting, is this what they want? So we spent a lot of time working with these innovators and early adopters, trying to understand what they're looking for. The third thing that we've been in the back of our minds for this first 2 years is, as any other startup, is staying alive. And that's the thing, you can't, as a startup, cash flow is always one of your drivers of what you can do. Typically, there's two things you never have as a startup. You never have any time to do anything. Well, it's actually three things. You don't have any time, you don't have any money, and you don't have enough people to build what you want to build. So staying alive is a great skill that any startup and any person working within the startup has to understand, and that has been really what went through the first 2 years. So what happens once you've got a product and you've got some customers adopting it, and you think you reached market fit? How do you then scale that up? I believe, I'm not sure if we're scale up now, but we're now starting to think slightly differently, and I just wanted to let you know what we're thinking at the moment. So, right, product again. So yeah, we can't. So we're a very technical company. Of course, we keep building and keep improving the product. But here, what we're looking at is things like, how do we go from 5 customers to 100 customers? How do we deploy our product? So we're looking at things really around deployment of the products. The second thing is, we're now looking at how can we address more of the market, our sales channels, and we're looking at partnerships with the likes of Lenovo, for example, to help us sell across the world. Importantly, we're looking at distribution partners. IoT has, or industrial IoT has physical components. This is not what we're doing. We're not doing it in the hardware world, but we're looking at partners who can help us distribute and have physical presence around the world. And fourth is growth capital investment. So we're at a stage now that we have investors, and we're talking to investors to allow us to keep growing the company and scaling the company. So so that's where we went to go. We went to go up that curve and stay at the top for as long as possible. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed my brief talk, and I'll take any questions you may have. Thank you. Cheers.
That's great. Thank you ever so much, Mauro. If anybody's got any questions, just post them in the chat facility, and I know Mauro will get to them and answer them. His contact details, I can't see them there, Mauro, but if you post those in the chat as well for anybody who wants to get in touch with you. Thank you for that. We're going to go straight on to, running a little bit behind now, but we're going to go straight on to Furqan Alamgir, who's the CEO and founder of Connexin. Welcome to you, Furqan.
Thank you, guys. And it was great to see a rocket there on Mauro's penultimate slide. So today I wanted to kind of talk to you guys more about rockets, why I believe one can do anything, and share with you a bit about the Connexin journey and my personal journey in kind of pivoting into business and going from startup to scale up. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Furqan. I'm the founder and CEO of Connexin. We founded Connexin back in 2006 while I was at university, and we've been on quite a journey since. So to date, we have raised just over £100 million now in terms of investment into the business. We've been recognized by Goldman Sachs and the London Stock Exchange Elite Group as one of the fast growing companies in our area. When people talk about IoT, you hear the term data is the new oil. Well, if data is the new oil, the Connexin is the refinery. So we're an end-to-end kind of smart IoT partner. So we work within local authorities. We can build infrastructure, so we can build fiber networks, kind of neutral 5G type infrastructure. Somebody mentioned LoRaWAN earlier. We're building a national UK LoRaWAN network at the moment. We actually have one of the densest networks in the South Yorkshire region. So Sheffield at the moment is covered in a Connexin LP WAN technology. But we provide that full stack, because one of the problems we were seeing is that lots of people want to benefit from kind of data-led outcomes and efficiencies, but they didn't either have the infrastructure to enable them, the capabilities to integrate the software into their current systems, and or access to hardware that could allow them to capture and connect kind of the virtual world with the real world. So we've been working now kind of behind the scenes quietly in producing that stack, and I've had some real success in doing it. Just wait for the next slide. So our technology is closer than you think. So in that picture, you can see the deployment in Sheffield. That's our smart city platform called CityOS that you can see on the dashboard in the background. It's collecting real-time information from assets within Sheffield. I think we've connected just over around 2,000 devices in the region now, kind of Sheffield and wider South Yorkshire. And we're bringing that information, normalizing it across different types of assets, and displaying it in an operational dashboard, but then also running services on the back of that. We're working quite closely actually with other companies to enable them access into our infrastructure so that they can then build new layers of applications on top of the kind of the base layer of CityOS. But I guess today I wanted to talk to you guys less about tech within the business, but more about our journey. So for those of you who don't know, I don't have a computer science degree, and I'm not an MBA. My background is actually in health. So that picture, by the way, was pre-COVID. That's a standard surgical suit for doing trauma operations. So I actually trained as a medical student and became a surgeon and launched Connexin whilst running in parallel, mainly because I was told that you can't do two things, or zero technology credibility. So how are you going to get into a business like this in IoT and smart cities? But from a young age, I've always been interested in how things work. So naturally, the human body anatomy interested me. And the more I was doing in the health space, the more parallels I could see in technology. I've heard terms, even today, around kind of edge, cloud, when you compare that to the human body, it's no different to the central nervous system, which is your brain that performs complex tasks that require a bit more processing power, and your peripheral nervous system, which is a fast reactive response, similar to kind of the edge mechanisms that you're seeing in networks. If you touch something hot, you don't need your brain to tell you that's really hot. You want to move it away as quickly as possible to stop the burn. So for me, bringing my kind of learnings in health with my passions and interest in tech, I just thought I could do something quite creative in the space around improving people's lives on a wider scale than just kind of on a one-to-one basis as a doctor. And in my journey, I've tried to raise money and successfully raised money, and sometimes I've been told no more times than I've been told yes. But I've come to learn that business is like piloting a rocket, and rockets are interesting. So when you treat your business as a rocket, you start making decisions in a certain way. For example, you don't just launch a rocket for no reason. A rocket needs a purpose or a mission. It's either you want to learn something new, you want to go somewhere new, you have a purpose or a mission. So during my journey in kind of building Connexin from an idea to where we are now as a business, I think many people overlook this, and to get from that startup to scale up, it's imperative that you have a mission or a purpose behind what you're doing that drives you in that right direction. I shared earlier on the screen, a bit about Connexin, and we're very clear in our mission to improve people's lives through using technology that is sustainable and utilizing our infrastructure capabilities, i.e. the unique power of the internet through the infrastructure that we can build. And that's really driving us forwards in our ambitions to kind of scale as a business. So we invest thinking like that, we build products thinking like that, we engage customers thinking like that, and it defines develop teams within Connexin. The second important thing, if you're ever going to launch a rocket or start a business, in my perspective, from my perspective, is a crew. When you hire people, sometimes people do it because they're desperate. Sometimes people do it because they think they need people. Well, if you start treating your business like a rocket and start thinking of it as a journey, that once you're on it, these are the people in the tube, thousands of miles in the sky with you. You start being a bit more picky about the people that you want. So in the case of a rocket, do we have someone who can engineer this aspect? Do we have someone that can do this? And you become more capable of hiring in people and more able to hire in people that are not the same as you, people that can add value on that mission. And that for me has been a fundamental part of kind of going from startup to scale up. And then the last thing, and to me, this is the one thing that I think prevents most people from starting a business or scaling a business, is fuel. So what is fuel? Is it capital injection? Is it, I can't start a business unless I've raised some money? Is it I need a patent? There's so many different reasons why people don't take off. To me, fuel is passion and belief. So having an idea that you're passionate about and believing that you can deliver it, I think that is the driver for success. So when you look at a Connexin, I always say to anyone starting here at Connexin, we are a rocket. We've got half the fuel to get to the destination, but we think with the right crew and the right purpose, we can deliver that fuel through passion and belief. And so far, touch wood, fingers crossed, it carries on. Every time we've almost run out of fuel, the team have pulled through and created new opportunities and given us that belief, the passion and the drive to continue forward. So I think to truly scale a business, you do need to start thinking like that and approaching your business in that mechanism. Otherwise, there's always a risk that you either get kind of stuck where you are, or you don't take the chances or opportunities or risks, whatever you call them, to kind of further yourself. So talking about the crew, I was going to share some Connexin journeys. It's not just about hiring people, it's about developing good people. So these crew members that you can see on the screen there are all people that came into Connexin with little or no tech experience and have either developed themselves up to be kind of leaders within the business, like in the case of Will. Will joined the business straight out of school after his A-levels, and within 3 years became the Chief Technology Officer, you know, kind of engaging companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Dell, Cisco, and he actually led all of the technical due diligence sessions when we raised our Series A and Series B funds. To someone like Katie, who joined us straight out of school, actually, after her GCSEs, wanting to learn more about marketing, and most recently presented to the investment panel around our strategy for growth and the marketing plan to support that. So mission, purpose, you know, at Connexin, we've been very focused on what that is. Hiring good people, training good people, and developing good people are a must to kind of scale that team and build that resilience and resource so that you have a pool of people that can run multiple missions for you at once. But, you know, it's not just about, you know, trying to get there. I always say to my team, running a business or in life in general, it's a series of missions. When you get there, yes, it's good to stop, take a breather, but also learn and also share that learning. So at Connexin, you know, we'd love to come to events like this, and we're truly grateful for being given the opportunity to come and speak with you guys today. I think it's really important for people to share their stories about not just the successes, but also the failures, so that other people can hopefully further the journey and lift the bar so the missions can get more adventurous and challenge us to deliver more. So I guess with that, I just wanted to kind of share with you, I wanted to keep it brief, make this more about something to inspire others who are probably listening to this, who have some real talent, but are you know, not ready yet to take the leap into starting their own journeys, to hopefully give you a little bit of a kick today and say, look, if I could do it coming from a completely non-technical background, if you have the vision, you have the belief, you have the mission, you know, kind of take that risk and develop up. This space is growing really, really fast, and there's a ton of opportunity in it. And I guess I'll finish on that, just conscious of time as well, with a little image of how I finish my presentations to the team. Don't be afraid. It's better to be up at the top and either go out with a bang and it'd be a beautiful firework than just sat there wondering about what could be possible. So with that, I'll kind of leave it there. If anyone's got any questions, more than happy to kind of dive in offline as well and talk about the deep tech within Connexin and our capabilities on the infrastructure side, share some of our learnings and our failures, or offer any support to anyone, you know, looking to scale up or grow a business in the north of the UK.
Oh, that's great, Furqan. I'll be ticket number one on that conversation. So I'll look forward to chatting to you in the not too distant future. But really inspiring message and a nice twist on the scale up journey that you've had, and the comparisons to the human body and to a rocket mission are good ones. And yeah, a really inspiring presentation. Thank you so much for that. And as I say, I hope that we can be in contact with you not too distant future, and encourage anybody to follow your journey too.
Perfect. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks ever so much, Furqan. Okay, everybody, we're running a little bit behind. I'm mindful of the time, so we'll go straight on to our regional updates now. Thanks to all those presenters so far. We're moved now into the sort of regional updates of what's happening within the local region around Sheffield and the Yorkshire region. So I'm going to hand you straight over to Steve Jubbs without any further delay. Steve.
Yeah, hi there. So thanks very much, Mark, and thanks for all those talks. I think they've been fantastic. I'm going to bring you a bit, if we're in the rocket, I'm going to bring you down to earth now. And so lots of people have talked about things like LoRaWAN and the technologies that sort of underpin IoT. And what we're going to do is just give you a quick overview of a research project that's been funded by Pitch-In, so thank you to Pitch-In, which has looked at sort of some of the fundamentals around IoT. My background's in telecommunications, and I have an interest in radio technologies, and so we're going to talk quite briefly through these things. This is myself and Oktay. So also, just as a sort of advert, this is meant to be a very quick session, but we're hoping to reach out to you and provide more information about the project. So if you do have an interest in what we talk about today, we'd be really interested in hearing from you. Just email me, and we intend to set up a sort of more detailed kind of stakeholder engagement session. So what was the project all about? Well, it was about radio frequency spectrum. I just became very aware that we've got lots of networks out there. You know, you can just look around at home and you see lots of Wi-Fi networks, and we seem to be wanting to use these networks for ever more applications, and those applications are becoming ever more critical. And so we were really concerned that the overusage of that as a resource could be a real problem now and in the future. So we wanted to understand, you know, the use of the spectrum. And so what we did was set up this research project called Antennas. That's the acronym. It's a very poor acronym, but it just seemed to fit. And so that's what we started off doing. And the idea was to go out, measure and interpret the use of RF spectrum, and really gain an understanding of how the urban landscape, in particular, if you look at the buildings in Sheffield that have been, you know, constructed over the last few years, have changed the urban landscape, the effect that that might have on wireless networking. We also wanted to build a reliable LoRa network, which was available publicly, and so we've built that on the Things network, and Oktay is going to talk about that in a minute. We went out to model and map you know, the coverage that existed and the coverage that we were building. And we also wanted to build some network ready code modules for nodes on LoRaWAN so that we could more easily deploy our networks of strategy. And I'm going to hand over to Oktay just to talk about some of the work we've been doing.
So hi, I hope you can hear me. So as Steve said, actually, the project actually have started with the surveying and mapping work, but we shifted due to COVID. So we started with modeling. So that's why for which we used a software called Runplan Wireless, which is a 3D ray tracing based network planning tool. So it allows you to build buildings and actually cities in the 3D space, so that you can run, you can do network design and simulation for both indoors and outdoors. For buildings, it's pretty straightforward. You just need a CAD drawing or a building plan. For outdoors or the regions, you need JS data. So Runplan uses building terrain, clutter, and foliage details for specific mediums. And at the end, it allowed us to build these buildings and the city region realistically. So as you see on the bottom right, when you put the wireless components and run simulations, you get like heat maps so that you can assess the performance of the networks. Just relocate the components if necessary and increase their numbers and to get the best experience possible. So, and this is just an example. We are still working towards the city model for Sheffield, and we are using mass data to deploy the wireless components in respective locations to get to done the analysis. So, and then for which, and actually after that, we can to compare the results with the surveying work. So meanwhile, as Steve mentioned, we were deploying an LoRaWAN architecture, gateway architecture in the city region. So this shows the 8 locations we have. Right now, right now Hicks and Norton are up and running. So the other ones are all deployed and placed, but they need to be commissioned. So it's going to be it's going to happen in the following months, and maybe pretty soon actually. So these are our gateways. On the left-hand side, we see the iCare building along with the air quality station. So the black box is the carbon dioxide sensor, for example. And on the right, we have the Hicks building, which is a different device, relatively old, one, but it's up and running for 2 years almost now. And so some mapping results and the progress. On the top, so we see we actually started before October 2019, so that was the initial coverage, but then we extended it and the progress has been made, so which is even better now. Actually, we are in March now. So and on the bottom we see the Higgs building, so that was our main gateway, and its coverage again significantly increased. So this shows and how the coverage and the quality, signal quality in Sheffield City region, enabling anybody to build their own applications based on the LoRaWAN architecture we established in the city. And what we are using to do the mapping work and surveying, so we have two classes of devices. The first one is the drive test equipment, and here you see Morka, which is a smart electric for 4-car, and this is equipped with a Roda Schwarz TSMA6. That's an autonomous network scanner. So, and we used Morka mostly on motorways and to analyze the coverage of Wi-Fi, mobile cellular. This includes 4G and 5G networks, and also IoT protocol, IoT network all around the city region. And also we have the walk test equipment. Again, we are using the TSMA6 to run any spectrum and any band possible. And also we have this mobile low-cost devices on the bottom. These are basically GPS trackers which allowed us to assess the performance of the LoRa network that we established mostly. So some results here, these are the results for these 3 different GPS trackers we had. As you see, right now we have a dense coverage in the city, but we are hoping to extend it and make it better with more actual serving work, and also the gateways that we are planning to commission very soon. And I just would like to zoom in a bit, and here you see actually how it looks in the city center. The red lines show the good signal quality, and this is the average. So we can say that now we are able to provide a reliable infrastructure for LoRaWAN, so anybody can again establish their own, build their own applications. So this is just for LoRaWAN, but again, with the modeling work and also the service we are doing using TSMA6, we are hoping to extend it to, we are actually covering both mobile cellular and Wi-Fi. And this is to enable the smart cities not only in Sheffield but also in UK, and hopefully we will achieve that in the very near future. So I think still take up on that.
Yeah, so one of the developments is we're looking at dead spot trackers, so we can identify live spots, but we're also looking at dead spots. So we've got some prototypes running on that, and these are the sort of things that we've achieved so far. I'm just going to sort of put these up as sort of flashcards. Again, we do intend to run a sort of more detailed session on the project. So if any of this is of interest to you, then please do get in touch with us, and we'll do some, we'll reach out to you and arrange that session. But it gives you some idea that we've done an analysis of the literature. We've looked, we've been looking at surveys to look at coverage. And we have actually secured some additional funding, which is going to take the project through to the end of this month. So we'll be publishing a final report on that. What we're hoping to do is to produce a guidance note really about policy and planning, which talks about the way that we should be handling wireless infrastructure going forwards. So that, at the moment, if you want to dig up a road to put a building in, you have to go through all the sort of planning regulations and so on. But for wireless networking, that's a lot less defined, and we think there's work to be done in that space. And we've also so far we've submitted a journal paper on some of the work that we've been doing. And what we want to do next, we want to continue to do our 3D analysis and our surveys to expand that maybe to other locations. We're also looking to collaborate with Barnsley DMC. We have that planned to look at indoor LoRaWAN gateways and networks to support sensing. We want to do some material characterization using our iCare Centre to look at how different materials absorb RF, particularly in these in these types of environments. And we're looking to really extend the IoT coverage both across the city region and into rural areas, especially into the Peak District. So that was a real whistle-stop tour of what we've been doing. There's a lot of material in there. There's lots of stuff that we haven't shown you. So those are our email addresses. If you are interested in the work that we're doing, we'd really love to hear from you. And as I say, do hope to run another session in more detail about this, solely focused on the web. So thanks very much for listening.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Steve and Oktay. Great insight into what's happening on your project there. And as you can see, their contact details are up on the screen there. Any contact details for any of the presenters that you might want to put in contact with them, please just drop us a line and we'll put them in contact with you if you've missed any of that. I'm going to go straight on, as we're running a couple of minutes behind, straight on to Andy Saunders now, an old friend of ours again. He's the head of partnerships at IoT Tribe. He's talking about the Accelerator program that IoT doing on smart and connected places. So I go straight over to you, Andy.
Mark, it's Ceri here. I don't know if he was quite expecting that. So I can go if Andy's trying to connect.
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay. Oh, can you see me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. We'll track Andy down, I'm sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks very much for supporting the session. And I've loved seeing the kind of liveliness of the chat and the quality of the talks. So really appreciate everyone's support on our activity and our ecosystem. I just wanted to grab a couple of minutes because I've started on a new project. I'm a regional lead on a new project called Team South Yorkshire. It's a 5.9 million ERDF project, and we're the organisation behind it is called Capital Enterprise. They're startup experts based in London, but looking to have a regional reach. And it's very much in partnership with Barnsley Council and the Digital Media Centre, and Tracy Johnson is on the call. So our ambition as part of the project over the next 2.5 years is to really help supercharge the tech startup and scale up ecosystem. And as part of that, we're looking to develop different programs. We're calling them pre-accelerators and accelerators. And pre-accelerators tend to be about early stage businesses or entrepreneurs having a concept and trying to kind of explore their market fit and whether it's got the legs to go forward. And then an accelerator is more once they've identified that market fit and have that prototype and are ready to kind of accelerate their venture. So what I'm really interested in from this community is exploring the potential for a pre-accelerator around Internet of Things to help people kind of start on that journey. And I think we've seen in the chat that indication that there's a lot of people with interest, but possibly not with the skills or knowledge to actually make the first step. And I see it as kind of being a precursor to the excellent IoT Tribe, which is Andy will speak about next. So yeah, and as part of this, we've got some funding to put towards it. So if anyone would like a chat, I'll put my LinkedIn in the chat, and then we can have a discussion. And I'd love to explore it with different partners. It'll be amazing. Okay, thanks so much. Thanks, Mark.
That's great. Thank you ever so much, Ceri. And absolutely do contact Ceri. She's a huge proponent of assisting anybody with digital and certainly in IoT. So feel free to contact her. Andy, I'm hoping we've got you linked in. I'm seeing you reconnecting again. Andy, are you there, sir? Andy Saunders of IoT Tribe, you there?
Mark, if Andy's having trouble, I can say what he's going to say, I think.
Yeah, let's push on as we're just running over time. So yeah, I'll.
Okay, I'll just share my video. So hi everybody again. Excuse me. So this is really exciting. IoT Tribe are a world-class technology accelerator. Oh, it's not allowing me to share video or unmute for Andy, which is weird. I think he's a moderator. Yeah, I don't understand, Andy, what's happening. Hopefully I can do you justice. Anyway, so yes, IoT Tribe is this world-class technology acceleration program. Thanks, Andy. It has expertise around Internet of Things, AR, VR, artificial intelligence, and essentially businesses join the program when they've identified some suitable market fit and also have an IoT prototype that might be hardware and software, and they start on a journey to work with the IoT Tribe team to really take their product and idea and product or service forward. As part of this, it's fantastic. There's access to a huge range of mentors, investors. There's links with IoT Tribe Singapore. You know, it's a fantastic community and supported community to really develop and grow your business. And as part of this year, there's something called design studios that people can come along and kind of dip their toe in the water a bit more to see actually if this is the right fit for them. And then after a week or so, actually then the cohort is properly selected. But if people are interested, I think Andy or me will put the details in the chat. And on the 15th, the morning of the 15th of March, there's a whole kickoff and launch about the program, which would be fantastic for you to join. Equally, if you're interested in participating in this tribe, yes, Andy's just put a note that applications are still open and available if you'd be interested to join either the design studios part or the cohort or both. I think that's everything. Andy can put things in the chat if you would like. Thanks, Andy, and hope that's covered off most of it. Okay, cheers.
Yeah, apologies to Andy over the technical issues that we were having there. Hopefully, you shouldn't have too much of a problem in getting the details. There you go, Andy's just posting in the chat the links to the websites to make the application. As I say, only a few days now to run for the closeout on that one. So Ioetec have been on that as Smartia and Proxigroup all been on the IoT Tribe, all alumni of it, and completely recommend the program. Right, we're just going to wrap everything up now. Thank you so much for staying on with that extra few minutes, but just a quick shout out. I'm just going to hand over to Christina Seema, who's from Curvelux. Christina, if you would like to take over.
Yes, hiya. Thank you for having me here.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's been a really good session. I just would like to quickly introduce Curvelux and just say that we have a number of vacancies. The one that perhaps could be almost interest here is the lead full stack engineer. So just briefly, Curvelux, we do broadband wireless communications technology. We are based, our R&D center is based at Electric Works. We are a very young company with a very experienced management team that have managed to secure 8 million from Sheffield region for research and development. And we are looking for experienced engineers, cloud software engineers, or hands-on architects that can join us and help develop all the product road that we have ahead of us, which is really, really busy. So if you want to find out more, just get in touch, curvelux.com, and you can find all the vacancies there.
That's great. Thank you so much, Christina. Yeah, Curvelux are a global company and have recently set up an R&D centre at the Electric Works in the centre of Sheffield there and are looking to take on more and more people. So do feel free to contact them on the details that are shown up on your screen. And thank you, Christina, for bringing that. It's good to see that people are still hiring in this environment. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Just to promote every month all the activity that's going on in Sheffield on digital. So Sheffield.digital, we've got a number of activities. There's the calendar of events. Please feel free to go to the .digital site to pick up on how to connect with those various events that are happening throughout the first half of this month. I'm not sure if there's anything else left on there. Is there? I think that's our final slide. So thank you for staying with us. We've run a little bit over time. I'm going to wrap up the event now. We're hoping to be back in the not too distant future for our next meetup. We'll notify you that as soon as we get the dates for that. But in the meantime, thank you for joining us today. I hope you managed to get something out of the various presentations. I certainly did. It was both inspiring and useful as far as resources are concerned. Thanks to all of our speakers today. And once again, thanks to you for joining us for today's event, and look forward to welcoming you back in the not too distant future. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks, that's lovely. I think we'll stay on for a few minutes if anyone wants to ask any questions, or we could signpost to people, that type of thing. But thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, most certainly. Anybody who wants to stay by, we'll be staying on for a few more minutes, so we can answer any questions and provide you any contact details that you might need.
Yeah, Bryony, I'll stop the recording. Thank you.